So I'm unsure how I feel about this specific list. So I do like the idea of Vexing Devil alongside I do like the idea of Vexing Devil alongside Experiment 1 and Pelt Collector, but I'm unsure about like these risk factors and like the fact that there aren't even 4 lightning bolts in this deck. So let's see how this goes. Alright, let's do that. Let's update the stream decker and we'll be on our way. Is that not the right one? Oh yeah, that's totally the wrong one. I've been sending people the wrong link. I'm sorry. Oh, MTGO Wine was the one with the latest one. That's fine. They're both updated now. Sorry about that. Yeah, the old 2.2, you definitely don't want to do that. Sorry to send you on a goose chase there. Yeah, I'm not, so I feel like the browbeats kind of feel forced in this list. So I think the idea of like Vexing Devil alongside Experiment 1 and Pelt Collector seems fine, but risk factor, especially with only 19 lands, and Greenbelt Rampager are cards that seem like they're just a little bit too cute, and they're being played for the sake of being cute rather than the sake of being good. Bridgevine went 4-1. I conceded the last match to Lantern. I don't think risk factor belongs in this deck. So again, this deck list is not my deck list. This is a viewer submitted deck list that we're playing card for card that somebody submitted. So we're gonna get a feel for it and see how it goes from there. Immediately start off with a hand that doesn't have enough lands in it and has a 3-mana spell in it. Has a Greenbelt Rampager, which is also very expensive. Please keep in mind that if you are new to the channel, you need to be familiar with the stream rules if you're going to chat. Chatting requires you to be constructive and specific. So if you want to give feedback on why something seems bad in a given deck list, you need to be specific about why it's bad and what could be better and why it could be better. That's how we help people learn. Just saying something is bad doesn't help anyone. It just serves to crap on an idea that somebody else has put forward. Yeah, kinda, but like, is pay 1 green, put a 1/1 counter on my creature, like, actually an effect that's worth playing? It's not, right? Yeah, I agree. Most decks that want risk factor, I think they would want Boros Charm before it if they're already in red-white especially. So, what was I going to say? That was a good draw. We get to go Burning-Tree into Nacatl into Vexing Devil here, which is just like pretty absurd, right? Someone was asking about me making a Docker image for Arena under Wine, and I'm not actually familiar with Docker myself. That Docker image and me explaining how to use it is something somebody else created. Would you like to take 4 before you take 6? Sorry, would you like to take 4 before you take 8? We missed our land drop on turn 2, chat. If we'd have hit our land drop, we'd have done this on turn 2. I don't think you really need to splash another color into this deck. And like, this Rampager and this Risk Factor both just like look exceptionally bad in my hand here. Oh, that's true. That's true. I played Experiment 1 on 2. That's fair. That's fair. Uh-oh. My other monster home?
I opened this up on head.
You opened the mail?
Yeah.
You want to say hi to the internet really quick? Then you got to go upstairs with Mom.
That's not mail.
Thank you.
It's gonna be yours.
That is mine. Thank you. All right, so I definitely don't want Respector against an aggressive deck. If I want this card at all, it's going to be against explicitly more controlling decks. But I also don't really have good cards to board in out of my sideboard here. Yeah, Declan decided he's too good for you all, and he didn't want to show up. So he just handed me the mail and walked away. So y'all need some like self-introspection about why Declan doesn't love you anymore. What did you do? What changed, Chad? He used to love coming and saying hello to you. He's grown hard and bitter in his old age. Sure.
Yep. Nope, just going down here.
You want to close the door?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. We were playing Tron, he no longer loves us. Yeah, they could be more ape seems reasonable. There aren't 4 lightning bolts in this deck for some reason, so it'd be a 4th lightning bolt. They playing Esper Spirits? I guess we didn't see a green source out of them in the first game, right? My biggest fear is that both my kids love Magic but end up becoming Tron players. Isn't that every parent's greatest fear? Is that like the biggest sign that you failed as a parent, like your child wants to play Tron? Yeah, there is a risk factor in this deck before Bolt. So, and this is just a friendly reminder about how this stream works. Normally, I am prepared ahead of schedule and like I import decks the night before. And I like get all my deck files together and I like take a look through deck lists and like make sure things make sense. Like there's 4 lightning bolts. Because like when I accept things, I just give them a quick skim. And like if the core idea is fine, that's fine. But we had someone bump this deck up into today, so I wasn't prepared for it. I just grabbed the card for card submitted list. So this is, you can see a rough viewer submitted list as is. Tron got run OVER. We played against a bunch of mountains and just died. My friend has a fully foiled out Masterpiece Lantern deck. Shame is not something he's worried about. That's great. This is going to be our last league of the afternoon. However, don't go anywhere just yet because this is the first match of this league. Thanks everyone for hanging out here today. I mean, these are the hands I'm signing up to keep with this deck, right? How much time do you spend every day off stream prepping for the stream? An hour to 2 hours. That's why my normally scheduled streams are about 6 hours, because generally it allows me to work about 8 hours in a day. Kent is coming back in a moment. He's talking through some stuff with Christy upstairs. Isn't that part of the teaching experience, playing the submitted list? Yeah, to a degree, but like some things like this deck list with a bunch of 3-mana spells in I have to strike a balance between showing what things don't work and choosing to not play things that are just like very obviously glaring and are going to create a non-functional deck, which will create a bad experience too. Because like I have to strike a balance between like both being able to teach the person that submitted what they did why it's wrong, and like still having an entertaining league to play for everybody that's watching at home. There's definitely like goes both ways kind of. Save a spell queller in hand. Sculler, sure. Yeah, it looks like the opponent's playing an Esper midrange deck. Plays things like Wasteland Strangler, Spell Queller, Tide Hollow. Yes, you're gonna have fun playing decks that are off the beaten path, but having them be functional is ideal. Is that where you like actually get to play a game? Like this game's a great example of why there should not be risk factors in this deck. I give them a lot of leeway sanity, but again, just like it's just awkward to play. That's a Wasteland Strangler. So we're just like super dead here if they have a third land. And I assume they do here based on no blocks. To be fair, the current largest streamer, Pimped Up Monk, is just an artifact waiting room. So Savas tweeted he just plans to stream Magic until Artifact releases. This might be a brutal and fast league. Maybe we will round out with red black today still. So like there's a difference between a card being a poor choice and a card just like not making sense in a deck, right? So like putting this card, a card that costs 3 mana in my deck with 19 lands, a card that's going to reward me when I draw too many lands, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So the difference between this card could be good or bad. Let's try it out to try and figure that out. I think risk factor has a spot in some modern decks. It felt very reasonable in the grindy matchups in the blue-red deck. I also think that like this is a deck where risk factor doesn't make sense over just playing Boros Charm most of the time. I imagine if I wanted to play risk factor, I would rather play 4 Boros Charms before I played the first risk factor. Mostly because my land count is so low again, right? It's fine, Pimped Up Monk. I got their money through the bulletin board. I'm gonna survive here. We are what we are today without any of Wizards of the Coast support, right? We will persevere. Artifact is a new digital card game being created by Valve. That's the company that makes the platform Steam, and it's being designed by Richard Garfield. It's rumored to be going into open beta with people streaming it sometime in the next week. I mean, I guess I'm gonna play Pelt Collector here, but then like, even if I hit a second land here, my mana base is just gonna deal so much damage to me, I'm not gonna be in a position to race a bird deck here. I have not played Artifact. Streaming Magic doesn't give you enough popularity to get into things like that. So I have a beta key that Kent picked up for me at PAX, so I will have access to play it once it goes into open beta, whenever that is. Yeah, when it comes out, I'll definitely be streaming any amount that I play it. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about what I've seen so far. I don't know that it's going to make for a necessarily good spectator/streaming game based on how much it has going on. Like from a complexity and interesting to play standpoint, it looks like it could have a lot of potential, but from a this is good to stream and I'm interested in like making content with it, it feels like it's going to be difficult to do that with. I think anybody interested in playing card games competitively for money, those people are definitely super hyped for Artifact, right? Because Artifact is going to give out money like no other digital card game ever has, or card game in general. No, CVM's flying directly into Columbus. Kent flew into Bloomington where I live because his parents actually live here as well. So, Carl, there's a difference. Being flashy doesn't make something watchable. So like something being watchable on stream has a lot to do with how you're able to track information in the game. So like flashy doesn't make it streamable. Like one of the things that's nice about Magic, this is going to be tough to do with Artifact, is anybody like how many are, let's just is a really interesting question. Is anybody in chat right now only watching my stream and doing nothing else? Most of you are doing something else and I'm background noise, right? I'm like up on your second monitor while you're working. No, thank you, Burn Player. Okay, so there are other people that you're just sitting there and watching me. That's great. That's awesome. But I think that those people, the people that are just sitting and watching, I think you're probably the exception. I think a lot of people are playing another game or eating or doing work or doing any number of things in addition to watching me. And one of the issues with a game like what Artifact has going on is that I can't look up at any point or like open a new stream and suddenly understand what's going on, right? Even if I know what's going on in the game, because I can't see all of the boards at once. Whereas anybody who knows Magic and Modern could open up this stream right now and go, oh, Hoagland's on 3 against Burn, and he's probably dead. And don't get me wrong, I am very interested in playing Artifact and giving it a try, but from a producing content perspective, I am at best cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic is a way to put it. That's
It's a good way to put it. Valve makes good software. They have lots of money to make good software and do tournaments.
I was really confused. I thought we were winning with the Skull Crack because I thought we were the aggressive deck. But that didn't seem to be the case.
I realized after importing this deck list that it's got 3 main deck risk factors on 19 lands, so this might be a quick one. Yeah. And it's got 2 Greenbelt Rampagers for some reason. This might be a 2-match league and we might just play red-black aggro to close things out, or red-black mid-range aggro. I think Artifact could be okay. They do have a lane preview on the side. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you can put all the information in that preview, Serp. They definitely have the preview in the upper left that like shows tower health, but it doesn't give context, right? And if Artifact has a lot of depth to it, I'd imagine that the current health total for your tower in a lane probably isn't 100% representative of who's winning or losing that lane necessarily.
It only has 3. Wait, this deck has 3 lightning bolts in it?
Yeah.
All right, this is our last match.
Yeah.
I'm not condoning. Like, it's like combo decks get to play 3 bolts, or like
Storm
Sure.
gets to play 3 bolts. Yeah.
Like, and even like Bridgevine, it doesn't play 2 bolts, it plays 4, just 2 of them happen to be lightning axe.
Yep.
Roughly. My soul hurts right now. I like that Temple Garden art. I actually like the new arts.
These shocks are my favorite set of shocks.
Fight us. Fight us.
Oh, I can put this back.
There we go.
That'll be good. We can close out with Storm Breath Dragons. Ooh.
We need to make a name. Let's coin a term for ill-advised tweaking. That is like the go-to for Magic players. Like I'm just gonna add 2 cards to my deck for no other reason besides I like them. Like we need to get a really good, possibly a German word to describe it, multi-syllable.
Other than the fact that the Steam Vents lacks both Steam and Vents, I really like what it has going on. Yeah, the other thing about Artifact, and this makes me wonder if Valve... There's 2 things that make me wonder if Valve gets it with regards to Artifact. The first is that they're gonna put an in-game chat in Artifact, and that makes me wonder if they've ever experienced the in-game chat in Magic Online or most video games.
I have confirmed they have. I actually know one of the developers from a curling friend, and I asked him.
I can't imagine anybody's ever played Magic Online for double digits worth of hours and been like, you know what's good and necessary here? The chat feature. The other thing that's super weird about Artifact is that they're maybe I should have.
You're supposed to sack the Forge-Tender there.
Yeah, I should have Forge-Tender there. The other thing that's weird about Artifact, about what they're doing to start, is their preview season is really awkward. I think preview season is awkward and weird in just normal Magic and normal spoiler things, but I get building hype, but they're trying to build hype for a card game that most of us don't understand how to play. And then while they're trying to build hype about this game that most of us haven't played, as they spoil cards, people that are playing the closed beta right now are being like, that card's not actually very good, but I can't tell you why until you see all the rest of these cards.
Yeah.
So you have people that are in their closed beta killing hype about cards that they're trying to build hype with, which makes it super awkward, right? It's not even a normal spoiler season for Magic where there's this cautious optimism because we never played with the cards before.
Oh, it's so true. Yeah, can we prevent 6 damage here?
I'm super excited for a game that is trying to directly appeal to someone that enjoys obtuse games, and that's the thing they're trying to play off. They know certain people play games like that are honestly, yeah, and I think that's
That is a fair, if not long, comment. I would also say that they're going to lose out on a huge portion of, most gamers are looking for the opposite end of that spectrum in some capacity.
I had reasonable text interaction mid-game, maybe 5 to 10 games. They get super tilting heavy with the pause to look up and they can talk about. Yeah, it's really weird. The people who have played with all the cards that have more information than the rest of us, telling us the cards are good and bad, makes their whole spoiler season feel really awkward and bad as someone who wants to be excited about their game. Well, Goldfish just started streaming, and I've been streaming for 8 hours, so that's why I currently have more than Goldfish, because that's how Twitch works. So by the time Goldfish is done, he'll probably have more than what we got around here. And again, this is one of the real liabilities about playing a deck like this with this mana base is I have to fetch shock twice here, right? I guess I could not fetch shock next turn. I guess I could just get basic mountain, but it isn't a good scene. I'm not looking good for here. I have to take 4 off my lands. Flying Cappy Bara, thank you for the brand new Prime support there. I appreciate that. Thanks for keeping me employed here.
Those things are adorable. You know what a capybara is?
There is a deck list on your screen. If you're on mobile or don't have access to the Stream Decker widget for some reason, you can type !deck in chat to get a link to the deck list. Am I the hero? Everyone's the hero of their own story.
I'm trying to think of an exception to that, but you're probably right.
There is a market for games that are overly complicated. Sure, there's literally a market for everything.
But the argument there is that the point is that you are pushing out a larger segment of all of the people willing to give you money by making it too complicated. You can't tell me that people at the ages of 12, 13, 14 are going to be more invested in a complicated game, at least in my eyes. You got to have mass appeal. It's not about narrow appeal.
Like I said, any thoughts on the actual gameplay itself should definitely be reasonably reserved until we've actually played the game. So another thing is, and I think this is something Magic players especially do a lot, the idea that a game that's easy to teach is easy to master is just patently incorrect. So there's definitely something to be said for a game that has a high has a high floor and a high ceiling. Like, the ideal game, the games that are going to get the most people interested in them, are games that should have a low floor and a high ceiling. There are games where you can learn them quickly, but they're very difficult to master. Those are the games that can reach the widest audience. And are generally the most engaging to play, right? Like, you want a lot of depth, but you also want it to be, like, easy to get into so you don't get discouraged from trying it. This line here leaves us pretty dead if they have Searing Blaze, but it is what it is.
Well, we could Atarka's command.
What about a game where the ceiling is lower than the floor? That would not be particularly good. I didn't attack with this because I'm at 9. And I'd prefer not to die this turn.
The good news is if Kird Ape, like, we fetch a tap land into turn, right? Like, I have to.
Yep, I get to go Vexing Devil into Bushwhacker. A Spellweaver. Only 12 more months until that new format is now. Counting them down. Thanks for the great content. Thank you for the 5-month reset there. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Dead to Boros Charm.
The one thing that's constant about digital space, you can't corner that market. It changes too quickly.
Yep.
Month to month, week to week. Look at mobile gaming trends. That's just a point about digital space.
This deck feels very, very bad. There are a few very critical things about the way this deck is constructed that make it... If they have a Atarka's command of their own? Brutal. All right.
All right, that'll do it. New Genesis. That is a pretty good example. Overwatch.
Overwatch. Yep. Overwatch is super easy to get into. It's fun to play even when you're bad at it. No, we're just doing Modern today. We'll be back with more Arena for sure on Tuesday. So, let's be constructive and specific about things that I don't like in this deck.
There's multiple, right?
There's a couple.
Okay.
There's a couple. The core idea of this deck is fine, but Greenbelt Rampager, I have no idea. I know why this card is in this deck, but it's not good. So the idea of this is that you can pay 2 mana to put 1/1 counters on these things. That's not worth the mana in Modern in an aggressive deck. So, like, pay 1 green, put a 1/1 counter on my creature. Like, that's not good enough. 2 is Risk Factor. Risk Factor is a card that wants you to play more lands. This is a card where when you draw more lands in the late game, you get to turn that land into a spell. And a deck that only has 19 lands in it is going to struggle to ever get to 3 in the first place, much less draw a 4th to discard later. I don't know if that's, like, Foxic, I don't know if I agree with you on that. I think as someone who's watched Overwatch casually and doesn't have a great understanding of it, it's easy for me to understand when a team is winning based on how the objectives work in that game. It's like the depth of the strategy maybe is lost on me, yes, but I can watch the stream and understand what's going on and what's winning, whereas opening almost any card game and I have no idea what's going on.
Right. As someone who is, like, I have a friend who's Grandmaster, plays on an open division team in Overwatch. He's, like, teaching me the game. In a matter of, like, 3 weeks, I watch Higher End play, and I feel like the game is half speed from what I was watching, like, 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So it's definitely a fair critique that people know less about the game are going to watch the Overwatch League, and they're not going to understand that, like, the support's positioning here was exceptional, but it's the same way that most people who watch... Even invested player who watch Magic streams don't understand what the better players are doing, like, a portion of the time.
Yep.
At least that's what I've noticed. But it's absolutely still enjoyable and digestible, and you know who wins and loses based on their graphics. At every point in time in watching the Overwatch League, I would challenge you to pull up any Owl video, any second video while they're playing. You can tell who is winning, with the exception of when the score is 0-0 or tied. Yep. It's just super easy to see. That's also why they do the payload maps, is because that gives you a clear percentage, like, change over time.
All right. Anyway. Well, Tron crashed and burned. This zoo deck was awkward and crashed of sorts. which is bad for my current ticket supply, but it's good for making our way through the decks that we have to make our way through today. So we are going to have time to wrap up with one more deck here. This is a deck that we've played